Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, October 4th, 2023 SFO Airport Community Roundtable meeting at 7:01 p.m. We are meeting in a hybrid session, both in person at the David Chitkuti Community Room in Melbourne. Joining us today are staff to the Roundtable: Kathleen Wentworth, Roundtable Coordinator; Angela Montez, Roundtable Administrative Secretary; Jean Reindel, Aviation Technical Consultant from HMMH; and Jason Stoddard, HMMH Aerospace Analyst. Ms. Wentworth, I'll turn it over to you if someone needs to be recognized.
And I'll ask Ms. Montez for assistance. I can tell you that Fabiola Garcia, the Deputy Regional Administrator from the FAA, is on the call with us. And Angela, can you tell us who else from the FAA you see on your screen?
Yes, Joseph Burr is with us from the FAA.
Arlette?
Joseph Burr. No.
Okay. And from San Francisco, Bert Ganong, Aircraft Noise Office Manager. And Lisa Eozaza is Deputy Director of Planning and Building, County of San Mateo. And I may have missed a few others, Angela.
Yes, from SFO Noise Office, we also have Dave Ong, Anthony Carpenetti, and Nupur Singha, and Doug Yako in the audience. Thank you.
And did we say Newport's name?
Yes.
Great. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. And as a reminder, tonight's meeting will have hybrid access with members attending in person and the public welcome to attend in person or remotely. For those attending remotely, we continue to use the enhanced Zoom features, which means we will periodically screen share the names of the attendees. The list of the names will display the names, but not the email addresses as entered by each person when signing into Zoom. We will now move on to roll call. Ms. Wentworth.
City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Good evening, Ivar Sataro.
San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. CCAC Airport Land Use Commission.
Here, Carol Ford.
Town of Atherton.
Present, Diane Williams.
Welcome. City of Belmont.
Present, Robin Pang, Maganares.
City of Brisbane. City of Burlingame. Town of Colma.
John Goodwin here.
City of Daly City.
Pamela DiGiovanni, present.
City of East Palo Alto. City of Foster City.
Sam Hindi.
City of Half Moon Bay. Town of Hillsborough.
Present, Al Lewis.
City of Menlo Park.
Cecilia Taylor, present.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. City of Millbrae.
You're present, and I think I have to state that I'm Zooming because of health issues.
Thank you, Ms. Schneider. She did notify
And
the
Kathleen,
round.
just FYI, you're coming in really quiet.
Yes, and just so you know, Ms. Schneider did contact us earlier today to indicate that she would be remotely participating because of a contagious illness, and she has a just cause for that absence and participation in today's session, so she's able to vote. City of Pacifica.
Here, Christine Bowles.
Town of Portola Valley. City of Redwood City.
Kaya Aiken.
City of San Bruno. City of San Carlos.
Present, Pranita Venkatesh.
City of San Mateo.
Present, Robert Newsom.
City of South San Francisco. And Town of Woodside.
Paul Gold.
And you have quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Wentworth, and thank you, everyone, for attending. Before starting the meeting and moving on to the next item on the agenda, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Remita Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this land and in accordance with their traditions, the Remita Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. As guests, I recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. I wish to pay my respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Hermitage community, past, present, and future, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, it's public comments for items that are not on the agenda. If you have any comments for item not on the agenda, please raise your hand if you are here, or raise your virtual hand if you are on Zoom. I'll turn it over to Angela.
Thank you, Chairman Hindi, and I do want to apologize to everybody on Zoom that is not getting the video of our meeting, but I will ask Kathleen or any of the members that have a device, if you could please turn on your cameras for the members that are on Zoom. And for members that are attending in person, you may submit your speaker slips that are located in the entrance to me. And if you're attending on the video conference, we will use the raise hand feature to organize public comment. And for items not on the agenda, we do have 3 comments. So I will first call on Mary Jo Fremont, followed by Darlene Yapley. Give me 1 second. Ms. Fremont?
I don't have a comment. I'm not sure why you called on me, but so I'll save you time. I don't have a comment, not on the agenda.
Thank you. Ms. Yapley?
September 29th was the deadline to make it to FA's noise policy review. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with the Roundtable and separately cities such as Millbrae, Brisbane, East Palo Alto, and Menlo Park submitted comments. The FA received almost 7,200 comments and 4,800 comments. The overarching theme for all the comments was the current noise policy, such as DNL metrics, averaging, noise modeling, and communication are inadequate and do not reflect the real and true impact experienced by residents. For GBAS, the Roundtable, not the FAA, is empowered to provide direction for and review the data on noise impacts and then make recommendations on GBAS innovative approaches. With GBAS, the San Francisco Roundtable has the opportunity to be a leader and innovator. Unlike the FA review process only require DNL65. The Roundtable can define the data needed to reflect the true GBAS impact experienced by residents. What do we know? Modeling noise impacts is not accurate for locations not adjacent to the airport. Air bars must be considered. What SFO is communicating insufficient. It's easy to get lost in the technical jargon and volume of data presented. Using the wrong metrics, doing averages, not reporting large air bars, and all of results in not representing true impact. How can the Roundtable help? We need rigor to reflect the true impacts of GBAS. We need discernment. We need scrutiny. We need your laser focus on what information matters to reflect the true impacts, and request this information to the GBAS team. For the Roundtable to make recommendations, you need data and reports to reflect the true impacts experienced by residents. You deserve nothing less, and we, your residents, deserve nothing less.
Thank you, Ms. Yapley. And with that, Chairman, we have no further hand raised for item not on the agenda, but I would like for the record to reflect that Linda Wolin, Chief of Staff to Supervisor Pine, is also with us remotely, and Christian Valdez from the SFO GBAS team. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, and thank you for everyone who's joining us this evening. And thank you, Ms. Yapley, for your comments. Moving on, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close public comments on item not on the agenda. And then moving on to the next item, I will consider setting the agenda and taking action on the consent agenda items. Ms. Montes, do we have any members of the public who would like to comment on items 1, 2, and 3?
Chairman, I did not receive any speaker slips from anyone wishing to speak in the room, nor do I have any virtual hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close public comments on item 1, 2, and 3, and I would entertain a motion to set the agenda and approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, with respect to item number 1, the approval of the draft minutes, could I ask that the record be checked, and on the vote on the approval of the letter of the FAA, I believe it was unanimous, and if so, it was reflected as such in the minutes? Sorry about that.
Repeat that, Vice Chair.
Yeah, move the mic over here. Is that better? Okay, my comment was on the minutes of the last meeting, item number 1 on the consent agenda. If we could please check and see whether or not the vote on the approval of the letter to the FAA sent by the Roundtable and approved at that meeting was unanimous, and if so, could the minutes reflect that? I believe it was, but I'm not 100% sure.
Excuse me.
Sure.
I don't think it was unanimous because I don't think I voted.
You
I
abstained? Okay, 1 abstention.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments? Let me ask this first. Anyone would like to pull anything from the consent or have any comments on the consent agenda?
Sorry.
No worry, my bad. Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion then to set the agenda and approve the consent agenda.
I think we need a roll call tonight. Because we have one
Okay.
remotely.
Any motion? That would-
So moved.
Thank you, Ms.
Kaya Aiken.
Okay,
Second?
And second, Ms. Di Giovanni. All right, with that, we got a motion and a second. We have to call roll call. We have Ms. Taylor with us remotely, right?
And Ms. Schneider.
Ms. Schneider as well. Yes.
All right. Can I have this just real quick?
Do you need me to say
City and
yes?
County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors, City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office, City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission, San Mateo County Board of Supervisors, SeaCalc Airport Land Use Commission,
Here, Carol Ford.
Town of Atherton, City of Belmont,
Aye.
City of Brisbane, not present, City of Burlingame, not present, Town of Colma,
Aye.
City of Daly City,
Aye.
City of East Palo Alto, not present, City of Foster City,
Yes.
City of Half Moon Bay, not present, Town of Hillsborough,
Aye.
City of Menlo Park,
Yes.
City of Millbrae,
Yes.
I'm sorry, didn't hear it. Thank you, Ms. Schneider. City of Pacifica,
Yes.
Town of Portola Valley, not responding, City of Redwood City,
Yes.
City of San Bruno, no response, City of San Carlos,
Yes.
City of San Mateo,
Yes.
City of South San Francisco, Town of Woodside.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Wentworth. Moving on to the next item is presentation, and item number 4. We have with us Mr. Joe Burt, the FAA Western Region Team Manager. He will provide us with an update on the NIITE HUSH nighttime noise abatement departure procedure. Good evening, Mr. Burt.
For me, I cut out when I became a panelist. Are we ready to go?
We hear you okay, and you're ready to go.
Okay. I don't have a presentation this evening. I just kind of wanted to touch base with you all on the NIITE HUSH. It's been a while since we've given you any information, so I kind of wanted to give you all an update where we're at with that. So we are doing data analysis. We're working with air traffic. And then at some point here, we'll bring in the San Francisco Airport and probably industry down the road. But before that, we have a couple internal items that we got to work out internally and get straight. And then at that point, we'll approach San Francisco Airport, Ivar and his team, and walk through what the data shows and all of that stuff. So, like I said, don't have a presentation, but I know it's been a while since we updated you all, and we wanted to let you know that we are still working on it. We are still looking at the expansion of the hours. And we'll be reaching out to San Francisco here in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Burt. It's always good to see you, and hopefully next time we will have a little bit more. And we appreciate the short update here, and looking forward for your next report.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, you too. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Item number 5, Northern California TRACON, which is the Northern California Terminal Radar Approach Control. As you know, we are planning to have a field trip, which is scheduled for October 26th. The information, and there's a flyer in your packet as well about this item, highly encouraging all of you to really attend if you have not been there. Very helpful, like similar to what we had today about the presentation, kind of provide clarity as to how these noise metrics work. Also, with the TRACON visit, I think provide a little bit more information, how the challenges, the flight controllers there work, and how everything kind of works together. But we have some expert here for you tonight that could speak about that better than I did. With us is Jason Stoddard, HMMH Airspace Analyst. He'll give us an overview of what TRACON is and how air traffic controllers handle Bay Area flights. Mr. Stoddard, are you ready?
Ready. Thanks, Chairman. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, if that's okay. Got a PowerPoint presentation to share. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for having me tonight. As the chairman said, I'm Jason Stoddard, airspace analyst for HMMH. Prior to HMMH, I was an air traffic controller in the Navy for about 10 years, and then I worked for the Naval Air Warfare Center as a mission controller at the Atlantic Test Range at Pax River. So I've got a little bit of air traffic control experience. Never worked at a facility quite like NorCal TRACON. It is, basically one of the pinnacle spots to be in air traffic control. They handle some of the busiest airspace in the country, and they are very good at what they do. So the purpose of tonight is just to acquaint you all with TRACONs, kind of what they do, and give you a little bit more information so you can go in to your field trip and have a little bit of knowledge under your belt. So NorCal TRACON, what is it? So that's a picture of overhead view of NorCal TRACON. TRACON stands for Terminal Radar Approach Control, and it's a facility that provides aircraft sequencing, separation, and safety alerts for arriving aircraft, departing aircraft, and aircraft transiting the particular airspace that they're in control of. So all of the arrivals and departures into and out of SFO are handled by NorCal TRACON. So NorCal was created in 2002 with the consolidation of a bunch of different TRACONs kind of around the region. So we have a few of these consolidated TRACONs, they call them, around the country, namely SoCal TRACON, NorCal TRACON, Potomac TRACON, which handles the DC area. And these are some of the toughest air traffic control facilities to work at, just because the sheer amount of operations they handle, the complexity. They handle all the largest, busiest commercial airports across the country. So NorCal TRACON controls over 21,000 square nautical miles of airspace, and it's located in Mather, California, so just outside of Sacramento. NorCal handles all of the major airports in your region, including SFO, Oakland, San Jose, Reno, and Sacramento. They also have about 19 smaller airports that they coordinate with as well. In 2020, they were classified as the second busiest TRACON, just behind SoCal TRACON. So I think they go back and forth. SoCal is almost always the busiest, and then NorCal, Dallas, Atlanta, Potomac, they usually kind of fight for second place. But 1.1 million operations in 2020, and that was with the operations are probably less than they typically are because of COVID. So very busy. So how does TRACON kind of fit into the national airspace system as a whole? So really, as far as air traffic control is concerned, there's three kind of different variations. You have the control tower, which is the people handling the ground movements around SFO, the ground controllers, clearance delivery, which kind of reads the flight plan back to the aircraft before they depart, and then the local controller, which handles the local airspace, clears the aircraft to depart or clears them to land. The next air traffic control facility after they depart the airport that they'll be in contact with will be departure. Departure and approach control are kind of fit into the same bubble. That's the TRACON. So TRACON handles roughly, from about 5 miles from the airport to about 40 miles. And anywhere, I know that NorCal in some areas handles all the way down to the surface, but typically they handle from around 3,000 feet up to about 19,000 MSL. After they get above 19,000, so your commercial flights that go up into the flight levels, they'll be handed off to an en route controller. So the en route controllers in your area, that would be Oakland Center, and they handle a much larger area. So you can see here kind of in the graphic, the phases of flight and how they relate to the air traffic controllers. You start with the tower, you're handed off to an approach controller or departure controller at a TRACON. Then you'll go to an en route controller at a center, back to a TRACON when you're getting closer to your arrival airport, and then finally back to the tower controller at your arrival airport. And I think we've already kind of covered this. So in your area, it'd be SFO, air traffic control tower, handed off to NorCal TRACON, and then ultimately handed off to Oakland Center if they were to get up that high. So on the right here, you can kind of see a depiction of SoCal's airspace. I'm sorry, NorCal TRACON's airspace. So they have kind of two separate and distinct pieces of airspace. One, around the Reno, Sacramento, or I'm sorry, around the Reno area. They do handle, you'll see that's Truckee, just outside of the Reno. They do handle some flights into and out of Truckee, but mainly they handle all the airspace kind of around Reno. And then they have a much larger chunk of airspace that handles the Bay Area. The different colors, you'll see the teal color, that is the Class Charlie, or I'm sorry, the Class Bravo around San Francisco. So very complex, very hard to control in that area. So those controllers are kind of the top controllers in the country that handle that kind of airspace. The fuchsia color, that would be Class Charlie. Airports that are a little less busy, but still very difficult and very complex. And then the blue would be Class Delta, so smaller airports than the Charlie. So over here, these are kind of the airport complexes that they handle. So they kind of group all of these, for the sake of keeping it organized as far as the controllers that will be handling the airspace. If you were in the Mather Airport complex, those are all the airports that you would handle potentially while working that area. And same for all the rest. So getting into some more of the specifics about NorCal TRACON's operations. So they have a couple of different designators depending on the flow management of all of the aircraft, going into and out of. SFO really is kind of the heartbeat of the whole area. Depending on what SFO is handling in terms of what runways they're landing, that really plays an important role for all of the other airports in the region. So you'll see SFOW, that's kind of a west flow traffic pattern. That's when SFO is landing runways 1 and 28. SFOE for east flow, landing runways 10 or 19er. And the same, these are the other designators for the other airports. And usually they're based on what San Francisco is doing. You'll see how this comes into play a little bit later. It actually changes, depending on the flow, it changes the airspace that a certain sector will be responsible for. Whoops, go back one. So these are slides that I'm sure a lot of you have probably already seen. These have been out there for a while, but it kind of gives you an idea of just all of the different kind of arrival routes, departure routes that have to fit into this chunk of airspace and how difficult it is and to control the aircraft in this area. Very complex, lots going on. Just to kind of give you a little grasp of what that's like. So that's west flow. You'll see here, this is an east flow. In anything that happens at any of these airports, it has a cascading effect for all the other airports in the region. So, they're all kind of interconnected. So these are the sectors that NorCal divides their airspace up into, and they'll have a set of controllers. I'm not sure exactly how many per sector, but typically once you're in a sector, that's kind of the sector you work in. So that way you kind of build up experience and then you get a real wealth of knowledge working each sector because you have those air traffic controllers kind of working there for a long time. So Area A would be the South Bay. I'm not 100% sure where these names come from. I know they're important to NorCal, to the actual sectors. Some of you locals may know what these names refer to. I'm not sure if they're actual places. They might be VOR DMEs in the area or airports. I tried looking up Boulder Airport. I didn't see any Boulder airports in the region, but so Area A, South Bay. Area B, that's the busiest kind of sector. Apparently, that's SFO arrivals. Area C would be the East Bay. Area D handles SFO departures. And then Area E is that area out to the east that handles the Reno-Sacramento area. So back to what I was saying before, when you have the different kind of designators for, depending on the traffic flow in the Bay Area. So SFOW, so this is NorCal Sector B, and you can see how their airspace that they're responsible for changes depending on, which flow they're in. So in a west flow, they're handling all the airspace, in this region that's highlighted in the red. These are the altitudes. So up to at or below 12,000 in this big chunk of airspace, between 12 and 6,000 in this airspace, 11,000 and 6,000, and then this little triangle right here would be between 11 and 7,000. So for east flow, their traffic, their area of responsibility kind of shifts out to the west. So they have a lot to remember, a lot to keep up on, a lot of procedures, and airspace. Again, I've never worked at an area where your area of responsibility actually changes depending on the landing runway. So I couldn't imagine what that's like. Probably very difficult. So getting on to the noise abatement. So I know that there might be some concerns that air traffic control can only vector in a safety situation, and that's just not true. So in the 7110.65, which is the FAA's air traffic control manual, air traffic control is allowed to vector and these are just some of the reasons, but you can vector aircraft in controlled airspace, either for separation, for safety, noise abatement, operational advantage, a confidence maneuver, or when the pilot requests. So basically, as long as they're remaining safe and they have the option to vector an aircraft off of a typical kind of flight path for noise abatement reasons, they can do that. But again, the airspace is so complex that sometimes I know as a former air traffic controller, when you find something that works in terms of safety, a lot of times that's what they stick with. But they're always open to to kind of trying new things as long as they can make sure that it's safe ultimately, because that's the main concern for all air traffic controllers. So you can vector for noise abatement. In NorCal TRACON's facility manual, which is kind of probably the second most important manual to the controllers at NorCal, under the 7110, they actually have an entire chapter on noise abatement. And San Francisco has about 2.5 pages. It has the longest, kind of the most noise abatement procedures of any airport in the region, obviously, for obvious reasons. So I didn't have access to the most updated NorCal facility manual. So I'm not sure if the noise abatement procedures they had listed in there still are applicable today, but I'm sure that they still have, quite a large list of noise abatement procedures that they keep in their back pocket for aircraft arriving and departing into SFO. So that's kind of a brief overview of NorCal. I agree with the sentiment that if you have the opportunity, you should go check it out. It'll really give you a glimpse of what it's like from the other side, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. But do I have any questions from anybody?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Stoddard, for this primer. Very brief, but also very informative. I appreciate that. While I open it up to the members for questions, Ms. Montes, would you mind circulating the sign-up sheet for the TRACON tour, please? Thank you. Anyone has any questions for Mr. Stoddard? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Stoddard, for being with us, and again, for your presentation. We appreciate it.
I think Ann Schneider has
I'm sorry,
has a question.
online. Okay. Member Schneider, first of all, I hope you feel better, and please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stoddard. This is my 8th year on the Roundtable, and I've yet to get to the TRACON tour, so I'm looking forward to it. A couple of questions. is TRACON, and maybe you're not the right person, but with your experience, are they beginning to look at the addition of air taxis coming into the area? At the UC Davis convention or symposium in May, one of the manufacturers was there, and they are already doing test flights and planning on SFO Palo Alto area. I don't know where in Palo Alto. And I asked if they'd go over the bay. They said, no, we're going to come right down the spine of the peninsula, which means over most of us. Do you know if TRACON is looking at that? And then I have an additional question.
You know, I don't know. Unfortunately, I kind of left that community before air taxis were really becoming a big thing. So I don't know, but that would be a question, you know, if you get a chance to get there. I'm sure that the controllers at NorCal, obviously, I think they're aware of them. I don't know how much they've had to deal with them as of yet, but I'm sure that they'd give you an answer much better than I could. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't really have an answer for you on that one. Sorry.
And I'll be a bit snarky, given that President Biden has come to California twice and flown right over my house. Right? I can see and it caused huge discussion within the Millbrae, San Bruno, Burlingame, Hillsborough, because literally 200 feet above my house, they're but actually that's kind of cool because it's still only every other month. My other question is, I know we keep showing those maps, and I'm trying to get a hold of east-west version and what that means to TRACON, but when you show a 19 arrival, I think on a west thing, you completely ignore that there are also departures on one that come right over our houses. So every time I see that graphic, it bugs me because the FAA doesn't look at those. They average them out on a 365 average, 7 hour or 24/7, 365 average. And then we don't get any mitigation for that. So I would like all of you in this industry to recognize that 17% of flights take off right over Millbrae at hundreds of feet, not 6,000 feet.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you. And good presentation. Thank you.
Thanks.
Gene?
Member Snyder, just a couple of comments to that. Until there are operations from an aircraft type or an aircraft category, such as air taxis, I think you were referring to them, it wouldn't get to the TRACON. TRACON, it gets to them when they're actually handling them. And so it's really being discussed right now at the level of headquarters for the FAA with a lot of assistance from NASA at this point. So until they're ready to actually start operations, it wouldn't get to the TRACON. And then
Thank you, Gene. I'm happy to hear that. I'm also very afraid.
Yeah. And then in response to the departures on 19, I don't know that it's 17%. It's more like 0.5% or something.
No, you have to trigger in every time they have fires now, especially the bad ones in 2021. There were a lot, and they went on for months.
Yeah, so anyway, the noise office can give you
house.
those actual numbers, but I don't think it's quite that high.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Member Schneider?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Going on to Ms. Taylor. I see Member Taylor, her hand up.
Thank you. I'll make this quick, Chair. 2 questions. One is if you could repeat the date of the tour. And the second is if the roundtable can have a copy of the 2.5-page noise abatement procedures, and if there's any information on usage. Thank you.
The tour will be October 26th, and it's planned to be most of the day, almost all-day event. We'll take some common transportation bus or van or something up to the Sacramento area to the facility. We will be getting basically a tailored one-on-one briefing by the FAA controllers, and there'll be a controller, actually a lead controller, a manager, who's planning to give us our tour. And she will give us a tour that the briefing is supposed to be tailored to what we want to know about, and I hope to have some questions that I will be providing to her ahead of that meeting of things that I hear from people so that she knows what we're interested in. And will have the assistance of several other controllers. And then, of course, as part of the tour, we will go in quietly and watch as they actually sit at their scopes and control airplanes. And I haven't done this at a TRACON, only at a center some time ago. And so I don't know how much, I don't think we can have interaction with the working controllers for obvious reasons, but we can ask questions later after we've had our tour of the ground school instructor controller. So it'll be a very educational and very, I think, tailored to questions each of you may have about your own communities or flight paths.
Yeah, absolutely, Kathleen. I'll echo that as well, because really it's a great opportunity, because we wonder a lot of stuff many times out, why these controllers do what they do. And again, what Mr. Studdard gave us today was a lot of information, although it's kind of more of primary, just the beginning or primer, if you will. But I think there's a lot more information that could be gained from the tour. So I, again, encourage all of you, if you're able to attend. Looking if I have any, yes?
Just a clarification, is the tour on the 25th or the 26th?
26th.
Thank
What
you.
I have, and I think there's a flyer in the packet today, so we could take a look at that for further.
It just says 2 different dates on the sign-in sheet. We're good now.
Oh, my. I'm sorry.
Okay.
26th.
26 is the date,
Thank you
and,
for
and there's a flyer again in the packet. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, before moving on to the next item, just a reminder to members of the public, we will take public comment on items 4 through 9, I believe, at the end of item number 9. Okay, moving on. Again, thank you, Mr. Studdard. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right, next item is item number 6 on the agenda, Chairman update. And I'll start my update with one of those bittersweet announcements. And I share with you, our dear Angela Montez will be leaving us. And for those of you, I'm sure most of you do know, Angela is really what gets things behind the scene that makes everything move seamless. So I can't thank you enough for all that you have done and you've been doing. You will definitely be missed. But the good news is Angela is getting promoted. She's getting a job she's working for the county, but also she's getting a new position. She will be the Executive Secretary to the Community Development Director and Planning Commission Secretary for the San Mateo Planning Commission. So congratulations, Angela. Well-deserved, obviously, and we're gonna miss you, but feel free to come and volunteer anytime. So what that means, first of all, congratulations to you. And really thank you for all you have done to the Roundtable. I know how much you work and how much you make us look good, me and Kathleen, make our life easier. You will be missed for sure. Feel free, if you would like to say a few words, I'll give you the floor. I know you were not prepared, but I would love to hear from you if you like.
Thank you to everybody that I've gotten to work with. It's been really nice getting to know all of you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so speaking of getting promoted, the San Mateo County is hiring. Obviously, we would love to replace Angela's position, not replace Angela, but have someone take her position. And if you know anyone who might be a good fit or interested, please send them towards the county. And they could go to the website, jobs.smcgov.org. And they also, the county is looking for many other positions as well. But our focus is obviously get someone to take Angela's job. Angela, again, thank you. Okay, next item on my update is the FPPC, which is the ethic reporting. No update other than what we had last time. The FPPC is still reviewing the material, but rest assured that no reports will be due until the FPPC get back to us. So we'll keep you posted as that develops. We just talked about the TRACON tour. Again, reminder, it's October 26th, and the flyer is on page 63 of the packet if you have any questions. But again, you could ask staff at any time or feel free to ask me. Happy to do so. give you answers. We did the sign-up sheet is moving around, that's great. And the last item on the chairman's report is the FAA reauthorization, and I'm gonna hand it off to our Vice Chair Ad Royce for that update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll keep brief. I think you can probably already guess the status of the FAA authorization, but there's really two parts to it. One is the approval of the policies, which was the subject of the letter that we sent, and that has been delayed. There's a request of a 3-month extension to December 31st, actually a continuing resolution, so they would continue the existing policies, not adopt the new ones, but they would continue the existing ones till December 31st. That has passed the House, but is awaiting action in the Senate, and as we alluded to before, the Senate is having a debate over pilot training, number of hours for training, so they haven't passed anything. So that is still being held up. But the second bill, which has gotten a lot of attention in the last few days, has been the funding bill, funding the government, and the FAA authorization. Funding is part of that bill. So it is now, again, funded through November 17th through the actions taken by Congress on Saturday, but on November 17th, excuse me. On November 17th, the funding of the FAA, again, like all other functions, will cease. And there may be some layoffs and some action resulting from it unless Congress can again approve a funding bill or do another continuing resolution. So everything is still up in the air, I guess, and if you're a betting man, I would not bet on it being approved by the 17th of November based on everything we've been reading and hearing. So there again will be some uncertainty with respect to all of this. I'm sure Ivor has a lot more knowledge on this than I do, but that's at least what we've been told and what we've been hearing.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair. Do any members have any questions about Chairman's report? Seeing none, thank you so much. Moving on to item number 7, Airport Director update. With us, Mr. Setero, who will give us an update, followed by a report from SFO Aircraft Noise Office Manager Bert Ganong. Mr. Setero.
Chair, can I borrow your microphone?
Absolutely. If I could move it over to you, I think it has a short leash.
I'm sorry. Thanks, Sam. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about passenger traffic. Summer season, 7.3 million passengers departing through SFO. That's about 89% of our pre-COVID 2019 numbers, so we're still in recovery mode. Related to flight operations, and I've talked about that trend of flight operations not increasing as much as passenger traffic. Flight operations for summer were about 80% of pre-COVID levels. International traffic has recovered fairly strongly this summer. We're at 97% of our pre-COVID levels, and still China has a ways to go to get back to those pre-COVID numbers as the governments decide whether we can resume open skies between our countries. They have raised the number of flights that are allowable between the countries, but it's still restricted. New and resuming airline service into SFO. China we do see quite a bit of interest from China pending those governmental approvals. Air China is anticipating 2 times weekly to Beijing. In November, 777 arriving 11 a.m. and departing at 1:20 p.m. China Southern resumes once weekly to Guangzhou. Also in early November, again a 777, 10:55 a.m. arrival and a 12:55 departure. China Eastern 2 times weekly to Shanghai in late November, 777, 10:30 a.m. Arrival, 9:30 a.m. departure. That overnights at SFO. United daily to Manila starting end of October, 777, 6:20 a.m. arrival, 11:35 p.m. departure. And United launching 3 times weekly to Christchurch, New Zealand on December 8th, 787 arriving 6:20 a.m. and departing at 11:30 p.m. We were host to the Air Taxi World Congress. This is day 2, and tomorrow is the last day. I know we had extended invitations, I think, to many. Kathleen, great to have you there and attend some of the events. for us, there's so much investment in the region into air taxis, and we think it's important to engage and really understand what this is, what those impacts are, and really start having a thoughtful conversation about what that means for SFO and what that means for the communities around SFO. And so, there are certainly concerns, noise concerns, energy consumption concerns, equity concerns. All of those are things that, as we move forward, we'll be working on our planning documents, how all those impacts occur and how they're dealt with. And I think the eVTOLs are interested in talking to community organizations, and I have spoken about our roundtable, and there is an interest. And so, working with you, Mr. Chair, we may ask that we invite a couple vendors to come in and talk to the group about what that technology is and how they're modeling the impacts, and be able to answer questions. But I would say they're fairly eager to talk to y'all. Runway closure next week. We will be announcing a 4-month closure of our 28 left, starting in January 2024 for taxiway work. There is what we call the Delta Tango taxiway intersection that we'll be improving, and it will improve the safety of that intersection and the usability of that intersection for traffic. 28 left closed from January 16th and will open in time for Memorial Day. That's when we start to get really busy again for the summer season. So we will reopen and then close again after Labor Day for 6 weeks to finish the work. So that it should be, the impact to the community is similar to a low visibility day. That's what you would expect. So that will likely be the impact that is felt by the community is when we go into those patterns during low visibility. And with that, before I turn it over to Bert, anyone have any questions for me? Okay, Bert.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and get our presentation up here. All right, so real quickly, the San Francisco Noise Office website has been updated with the recent CFPP's community flight procedure packets. The Overwater one, it's been up for a while now, and that one has some updated figures, so if you've already looked at it, you might want to go back and look at it. Thicker lines, things like that. Overwater 2, we still having some issues with our vendor getting the lines cleaned up and the tables for it up, but it will be up next, so that will be there. And questions and answers under the GBAS section have been updated. The flight procedure packets are there, and please, sfo.gbas, flysfo.com for any information that you have or questions regarding GBAS. Real quickly, on the replacement initiative, wanted to report that we're looking at satisfaction rates, the eligible properties under the second chance stayed the same. With the units currently in design went down from last time because they're out for bid, which is good. And then the units in construction increased accordingly. The total potential eligible properties under the expanded eligibility increased by 100, so that's good to say there. And then the information here at the bottom is a repeat from last time, so I won't delve deeply into that. I'll let you read that on your own and through the chair if there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ganong. Any questions for Mr. Ganong? Seeing none. Thank you both, Mr. Satara and Mr. Ganong, for your report.
Very indeed.
And
Through the chair, sorry.
Oh, okay, Member Schneider.
Thank you, Bert. The 100 new homes, what was the criteria that they got added? And where are they located? If I heard that correctly.
Specifically on that, I'll have to get back to you. I do not have those figures with me at the moment. I have the total figures, and I'll be happy to get that back to the roundtable.
That would be lovely. Hope you're feeling better too.
Yeah, I feel fine. I wish you the best. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you again, both Mr. Satara and Ganong, for your report. And as far as the air taxi vendors, would love to have them join us and tell us a little bit more about what you had mentioned. Definitely it will be, it seems like a lot of interest, and not only a lot of interest, I think it's going to be here sooner than what some of us expect. So thank you for that. Okay, item 8 is I want to kind of give everyone an opportunity if they have any more questions about the pre-meeting session that we had regarding aircraft noise terminology. Anyone would like have any questions that we didn't get a chance because of time, or you thought of something else between that time and now?
Just a procedural question. Was that tutorial videotaped? Is it available for later access?
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let me take it to the public, see if anyone has any questions about the noise terminology tutorial. I see Ms. Siapley, I think, has her hand up from before, but I don't know if it is related to that.
Let me call on Ms. Yapley. Oh, her hand just went away. So I don't think she has any questions on the noise.
Okay, perfect. So then, moving on to the next item, which is item number 9, subcommittee's update. I will start with the technical working group. Technical working group subcommittee met on August 29th, and we received an update from the SFO GBAS team. Mr. Hanna gave us an update on that, and then we spent most of the time with Mr. Ganong, who provided us a presentation and an overview on the Bay Area flight tracks. We reviewed also the data of we actually not reviewed, we took a deeper dive into the data that given to us at every meeting with the director's report. And it was a lot of information that we really did not get through it all. So we're gonna to be continued with Mr. Ganong at a future time. And all that, the entire presentation from last technical working group and whatever's gonna follow, eventually when we're all done, it'll be available on the SFO Roundtable website for all of us to view at your leisure. But again, when the next part comes up, we will definitely announce it. I encourage you to attend. It really was a lot of information, and more importantly, a lot of useful information that will help us comprehend the report and really what to look for in it, rather than, it's a lot of information. I think that's very helpful. So thank you, Mr. Ganong, for taking the time and providing that presentation to us. We're looking forward for your next segment of it.
My pleasure.
Thank you. All right, next, I'm not sure if Member Taylor has an update on the portable noise monitor placement ad hoc committee.
Thank you, Chair Handy. And the update is the portable noise monitoring placement ad hoc subcommittee met on September 22nd in Redwood City. And items on the agenda were to review and update the prior portable noise monitor placement criteria. And we also received an update from Mr. Ganong about the noise monitoring. And if there's anything that I've missed, Kathleen or Bert, thank you.
Thank you, Member Taylor, and looking forward for your next report as well. At this point, I'm going to ask Ms. Montes if you would please share the list of the attendees on Zoom. And with that, any questions on the subcommittee reports? Seeing none, thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, Member Schneider.
Sorry, Chair Taylor. that I couldn't be at that meeting. The close-in communities, two of us, Hillsborough and Millbrae, provided locations for the temporary noise monitors to try to capture backblast noise. And then Linda Wolin suggested locations in Burlingame, but I don't know if Burlingame was that. Did that get to your committee? These are the other 4 that are currently, the portable monitors currently at SFO.
Thank you, Member Schneider. And I believe that there was some discussion. There were no decisions made by myself or the other member that was present because information about which places we were thinking about moving the monitors to, where the current locations are, hadn't been informed.
So and I think Bert can correct me, that there are the ones that move around the county and possibly into Palo Alto. And then there are these other 4 that would be used temporarily to try to field test the assumptions made from the spectral, the modeling study. Would you want that to go through your committee? And if so, if you and Kathleen and I can talk about that from ground-based noise or your committee, how we move forward on that.
That's a great suggestion, Member Snyder. So I'm in agreement unless the staff feel differently.
All right, Kathleen will facilitate that, and then I'm sure Ms. Taylor as well will work with Ms. Schneider. Perfect, thank you. Anything else, anybody else? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna go ahead then and move on to public comments on presentation. And Ms. Montes, do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on these items?
Thank you, Chairman. I will call on Mary Jo Fremont, followed by Darlene Yapley. Ms. Fremont, go ahead.
Thank you. So 2 comments. On the GBAS Group 2, please ask SFO to create CFPP packages for 2 daytime down the bay approaches for runway 28 left before the TWG issues Group 2 recommendations. Some TWG members were concerned that using 28 left would mean more planes over Foster City, but it won't. These arrivals would have flown over the peninsula and landed on 28 left anyway because they could not land on 28 right. Otherwise, they would have used the D-Bay 28 right approach. This won't change things for Foster City. However, multiple cities, including Redwood City, Menlo Park, Atherton, East Palo Alto, all these members would get some noise relief because they would no longer be affected by some flights over the peninsula. Second comment, after reviewing the OW1 and OW2 CFPP packages, I have some serious concern about the results. When comparing 2 approaches that have different flap settings, speed, altitudes, angles of descent, then the error on the noise differences is 6 to 10 dBs, because each model noise number has an error bar of 3 to 5 dBs, as stated by SFO. OW1 and OW2 show very small SEL noise changes, especially at side-by where the cell decreases from 0.1 to 0.7 dB depending on the aircraft body type. With error bars of 6 to 10 dBs, noise differences of 0.1 to 0.7 dBs cannot be claimed as noise reductions. OW1 or OW2 could create more noise because of the higher flap settings. For example, the noise reduction caused by the small altitude gain of 300 to 400 feet at side-by is unlikely to offset the extra noise caused by the higher flap settings. So please ask SFO to report all the noise differences with an error bar of 6 to 10 dBs and do not claim noise reductions when the changes are within the error bars. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fremont. I will now call on Ms. Yapley. Go ahead.
The CFPP packages should provide information on the true impacts for the roundtable to make recommendations. First, SFO, please help us understand the data. The population numbers in the packages is different from the population numbers in the population tables. The SEL narrow body OW2 has 0 affected population at cell 50 versus the population table has negative 39,000. What are the noise levels of the green and purple areas in the noise contours? Without the noise levels, we don't know if it's good or bad, especially because of the large error bars. Why is SFO looking at cities in 50 dB SEL contours, given that these contours, aircraft would peak at 40 dB or lower, which nobody would hear because the aircraft noise would be below ambient? Second, critical information about noise impacts is missing. The CFPP packages reveal the noise changes only at locations eddy and side by. No noise changes for any other location, which is critical information for the roundtable members. Don't be misled by the population numbers in pink and green in the packages. They only report the number of people affected, not the magnitude of the noise change. Deciding on a GBAS approach using only the number of people is too simplistic. This is the same problematic rationale of NextGen, impacting fewer people. Fewer people is not a good thing if these people are now highly harmed by noise and previously no one had concentrated noise. Bottom line, SFO should show the critical information on the true noise impact changes for various locations. This means report changes in LMAX and SEL values using a fine grid, report the population densities on each cell of the grid, and explain how population densities are calculated, and display the cumulative noise change in each cell of the grid by multiplying the noise change by the population density for LMAX and SEL. And Jean, since Jason left, I don't know if you can answer this, but can the 2.5 pages of noise abatement procedures be made available to the roundtable and the public? And is there information on usage?
Thank you, Ms. Yapley. And with that, Chairman, we have no further hands raised for presentation items. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Fremont and Ms. Yapley, for your comments. And I'm just going to encourage you also, thank you for sharing those comments with us, but also I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you also write to the SFO about these community flight procedure and the concerns that you have on the noise impact changes and anything else that you also have. But your comments were noted here. Thank you again. Okay, any other public comments? I see none. Anyone else here has any comments on the presentation? I see none. Then moving on. Kathleen, anything on your side?
No, I think not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to item number 10, member communications or announcement. Anyone has any? Yes, Member Giovanni.
Through the chair, I just want to know if we could adjourn in memory of U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none. With that, we're gonna go ahead and do adjourn in memory of Senator Feinstein, and thank you all for attending. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.